to technology adoption and its impact on positioning and more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what brings us to the subject of our session, which is perception versus reality. We have two experts. Each one of them will be going for perception versus reality, respectively. Let us put our hands together as I welcome on stage Prajit Ghosh, partner in direct taxes, KPMG. Applause is running the house for Pavan Peechara, director, Udyog Software India Limited and CEO at Adaequare Group. Welcome.
Okay, so friends, we won't take too much time. 10 minutes is all that I have. And my role in this dais is to talk about some of the key issues, some of the perceptions, some of the questions, which I today, when I stand up and speak in front of you, is quite surprising. But as I was about 6 months to a year back, these sounded to be some of those natural questions. So Pavan, the first question is, we are habituated to this 3 letters word now, right? What is GSP? What is ASP? What is API? Right? All of this sounds quite Greek to me, right? Because I'm a finance professional, and it looks like that we are transported to a world where possibly technology is going to drive us away. Yeah? So Pavan, can you explain us the ecosystem comprising all these terms?
So obviously GSTN is going to play the biggest of all roles. They are trying to get data from 8 million, estimated 8 million, it could be much larger as we go through, 8 million companies, and these are large number of transactions that they need to receive. So the call is whether GSTN will interact with every software system or every individual organization, or is every organization ready to consume these APIs. API, is basically an interface for you to either give the data or get the data, or give information and get information. So they've decided to kind of create a supply chain for themselves. They've decided to first start off with GSP. GSP's primary role, as you will understand, is to submit envelopes on behalf of companies. Now, these envelopes are going to be encrypted. By whom? The ASP is supposed to encrypt these envelopes. So the encrypted data is going to be put in first envelope, and the encryption key is going to be given by GSTN directly to ASP. So using that the envelope, next what an ASP does is they put that envelope in another envelope, which is going to be given by GSP to an ASP. So then submit it to GSP. GSP is going to open the first envelope, put the inside envelope. They are not supposed to look into what that envelope has. They'll take the data, the encrypted data, which is again given by the GSTN. They'll put it in another envelope, which a GSP gets from GSTN, and give it to GSTN. GSTN has the key to open that. So that's how, those are the specific roles for GSP, GSTN, and an ASP.
Yeah, the other question which I often get is it must that we have so many taxpayers? Would everybody engage GSP for their compliances, or would they engage ASP for their compliances? How do you see this happening in reality?
Do you want to directly engage with GSTN? Yes, you can directly engage with GSTN. GSTN is also going to give you certain utilities, but are these utilities going to help create efficiencies, help analyze if you're actually saving money or losing money? Indirectly, are you properly setting off, or is the input tax credit that is being actually calculated by GSTN the right input tax credit? These kind of questions will determine whether you can directly post to GSTN or not. But otherwise, yes, they are not going to give APIs to you. APIs have to still be taken from a GSP. But if you want to directly operate on their portal, then yes, you can operate on their portal. To add a last thing, if you have anything more than a few 1,000 transactions, then it will be a difficult, tedious process to input all those transactions in an Excel sheet and keep submitting and reconciling.
Great. So, Pavan, this is going to be a big question, okay? So, we've talked about so much stuff, right? And you are one of the very few people who understands technology and the tax landscape very well. What do you think is required to be done for the day one switchover? So, can you elaborate what needs to be done? Because as a finance professional, I know I have to get a hang on my pricing. I have to get my compliance system in order more in terms of understanding how the taxes would work. Possibly, I've looked at the contract part, supply chain part, and all of it. But technology appears to be a CTO, CIO domain sometimes. But what do you think as a finance professional everybody would need to be aware of for a successful migration on day one?
So it's probably the best question that is getting asked across the board. The first thing, is GST impacting your business, or is there a necessity that GST is bringing where you are looking at business transformation in a way, right? Are you realigning your supply chain? Are you realigning your warehouses? Are you realigning your pricing? That's something I think most finance leaders are already into. But then, are you realigning your IT systems? So that's the question that I'll take in a little more detail. The first thing, when we are looking at a switchover from any existing taxation to GST, is about your master data. Is your master data standardized, wherein your suppliers, GSTN numbers, their locations, a lot of ERP systems will only have a supplier. Do you have details of supplier locations? And then are you aligning a purchase transaction from a particular supplier location to your particular location? Standardizing master data from supplier's perspective, from customer's perspective, because B2B transactions are going to be critical for both you and your customers and your suppliers. So standardizing of master data is going to be the first major requirement. Of course, item masters have to be updated with HSN and SAC codes. The second thing is, are your ERPs, most of the ERPs, they are saying they're going to give you these patches, they are going to get you ready. But first thing you have to look at is, are they going to work on your scenarios? How to apply place of supply rules, how to apply place of service rules? Or is that something you have to configure? And that is left to you. They are not going to give you that. They are going to give you provisions, if they are going to give you, they are going to give you provisions to add master data like HSN, SAC codes, GSTN numbers, but that's where they would stop. The requirement is on you to kind of create those rules. Now, what if you are using an older ERP, which is not being supported by your ERP providers, right? SAP says they are going to give patches only for 6.1 and more. Oracle says 12 and more. So what are you doing there? Or if you are a banking company, or if you are a logistics company, you are operating a lot of software systems, do you have time to put in all these? So tax determination as a utility, wherein you can ask some system to determine the tax and give you back the result, whether it is in a live stream mode with an API call again, or in offline mode. So that becomes a necessity for your switchover. These two, I think, are something which you will require for business continuity. So on the day of switchover, you should have these systems well tested. For at least 1 month, you should probably have the systems parallelly working, right? A non-live system working if the simulations for taxes are going correctly. The third thing, obviously, the main thing obviously is, are you compliance ready? First aspect is, are you business transformation, are you ready to transform to calculating taxes and all? But the second thing is compliance readiness. There, I think 3 main things that I would like to say. First is, are you capable of transforming data, your purchases, your sales, or your inward transactions, which in itself has multiple other transaction categories? Are you transforming the data? A. B, are you running your transformations by time? A lot of people do not understand when it, a lot of people are coming into tax technology. Some of us who've been there. I'll give you an example. Today you're filing your taxes, a hypothetical example. Today you're, let's say 2018 December, you're filing your taxes, regular returns for 2018 November. But then there is an audit request for which you are attending, which is 2017 December. Now, the GST being a new law, but otherwise also you've seen the changes in service tax, you've seen changes in reporting formats required by VAT in different states. So, do you think the same transformation that is going to be working in 2018 December for regular return works for 2017 December audit response? No. That is where you will need, what is tax technology? I'll come to that a little later, but that is where you will need transformation by time, applying of rules by time, applying of reporting formats by time. So that's first thing. And second, if you're actually working with a lot of source systems, you will need to probably, and if your sales transactions are happening in 2 or 3 software systems, CRM system or your point of sale systems or your order booking systems, or if you're a financial industry in multiple systems, there you will have to get the sales transactions from multiple systems, merge the data by each transaction type and then submit to the, so do you have merging? Then when you go into a little more detail, are you capable of segregating the data by each GSTN or location? So transformation of data becomes very important. And then data qualification. One of the things that GSTN is putting as a major requirement is data qualification, right? Reconciliation, data validation, fixing the erroneous data. Does the solution that you are adopting allow you to qualify the data, and who is the rightly suited person to qualify your transactions? Is it your taxation department, or is it your purchasing teams and your sales invoicing teams, right? And in that case, is your tax technology extendable to your purchasing and sales invoicing team? These are things that I would advise. Last but least, of course, reporting to GSTN, we being in this industry since last 24 years, the change that you need to accommodate as per GSTN on a monthly basis. This is monthly reporting, so monthly basis you should be able to change your IT systems, right? So this.
Yeah, so Pavan, this sounds like a lot. So last question, and this is my favorite question, and often been asked this question a number of times, is what is that can be done? So as we walk out of the room, maybe tomorrow when we start attending to our office, what is that I want to do right from tomorrow, and how do I spend my time in the next 60 days before it is run up to GST?
First thing I would form, again, situations between a banking industry, some of the banks we are working with, some of the logistic companies, some of the manufacturers we are working with, some of large trading houses we are working with. Situations differ, but I would say first standardize your masters. So form a team which will standardize your masters. If you are having multiple source systems, adopt a system where your master data is standardized in one place and redistributed again to your different software systems. The second thing I would suggest is ensure your scenarios for place of supply or place of service rules are properly adopted. If you are not confident about doing that in time, use an external tax determination engine. Third, obviously, the compliance portion. Start preparing for extraction of data. If you can find a solution, in data transformation world, a lot of people talk about ETL, extract, transform, and load. What we suggest in compliance world, extract, transform, and load doesn't work. What you should be doing is extracting in your native format, loading into the tax engine, and let the tax engine take care of transformation. Because the minute you are putting the impediment on your IT guys to supply in a common format, then any change, the guys have to revise their programs. That works in a compliance like service tax where I have to report 6 months, every 6 months, but that doesn't work. If you're depending every month on your IT guys, it will be difficult for them to cope. Finally, your business softwares called ERP, they are supposed to provide you efficiencies, stability to business, and then offer consistency in day-to-day business operation. Don't subject your business softwares like SAPs of the world with the changes that are not in your control. So try and apply the change, try and adopt a tax technology. Look at your ASPs as your tax technology, which will not only do the necessary things to file taxes, but it is also a system which will give you ability to plan set-offs, manage credits, and then do some other value-added things like that.
Yeah, so Pavan, thank you so much. And I feel personally that technology is a business continuity issue, because without technology, nobody can even think of doing even a fraction of compliances which the GST is asking us to do. And I'm sure you would have guessed by now that compliance is going to be a primary objective to go ahead with. And I see the whole world changing as we go ahead. And possibly if we have the same conversation, maybe from 1 year from now, we'll realize that how far we've walked off. So thank you so much, Pavan, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank both of you and give us an opportunity to present each one of you with a token of our appreciation. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Kanjlia once again from our team to thank you both. I think I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you both.